Hello and welcome to Edukemy's YouTube channel. My name is Harshan and in this video, we shall discuss the current affairs and gazette for today, that is 6th of January 2022. Before we begin, all of you regular watchers, you have seen there is a change in setup here. This is because of the COVID times, and you see, even I am one of the persons who have been house arrested here in my own house, and that's why I am presenting from my own house, right? So I hope that these times are safe for all of us. With this, I would like to welcome all the people who are in the conversation here with me. Good evening, Sagarika. Hi, Anonymous. Good evening, Jugnu. Hi, Babani. Good evening, Priyanshi. Hi, Kriti. Hi, Amlan. Good evening, Netra. And then we have Hima. Good evening to you. Sagarika. Good evening. Hi, Chitanshi. We have Sam. Good evening to you as well. And then we have Spider-Man. Welcome back to you. Hi, Asim. Hi, Vesudhoro. Yoho. Good evening to you. Yes. So, Spider-Man says, sir, voice is a little bit breaking or not clear. All right, I will raise my voice and we will improve on these standards, I'm sure, with time, right? So, we're going to begin this conversation right now with the first topic that one of you raised. That was about security of the Prime Minister. That was also in news today. So we will begin this conversation, right? And one input that Chitanshi has provided, that is on the PDFs. Yes, Chitanshi, we're working on this. In fact, the idea is to ensure that PDF are present to you beforehand. But these COVID times and the whole supply chain sometimes it crumbles a little, and we still try to make it disciplined. So with this initiative, with your blessings and you being our side, we have never stopped this conversation any of the days apart from the holidays, apart from the national holidays. So we shall keep continuing this progress. And in case there are some issues, we will definitely work on them as well. You provide us inputs, you be with us. We will continue to get better with time. Good evening, Preeti. Good evening, Ravi. Good evening to all of you. All right. If you allow me a moment, I will present the whole of this in the Word format or in the PDF format as well. So just allow me a moment. I'll provide a complete PDF format for you people. In fact, the PDF also is available with us. It is a little more colorful and beautiful to watch. So let us discuss with the PDF itself. What do you people say? Before that, yes, there was a conversation if the PM's convoy was, it was obstructed with an intention to assassinate or something. Okay, let us discuss that as well today, right? So, I'm awaiting the PDF. In a moment, it will be there with me, and I will share it with you people. Just a bit. Yes, Babani, camera is there right here. Aware of it. Thank you. All right. So, please let me know if the all right. Please, a moment, please. Yes, there it is. And here we start our conversation. Thank you for bearing with me, and thank you for this trust in us. Today, in your daily guide to UPSC current affairs, we have brought to you some very interesting articles. The first one is the snapshot on PM's security breach. We will understand what has been the cause of this breach and what can be done to ensure that such kind of breaches do not happen. What is the traditional security protocol? The next article for today is on China's border law and India. What has been the reason? Why is China so persistent at Ladakh region and building its infrastructure? In fact, in Arunachal as well. And what is India's perspective? The third one is an update on the edtech sector. If you remember, we had spoken about edtech sector just a few days back, isn't it? And this is a reform from the government, an initiative where we are trying to ensure that edtech industries be a part of the governance forum. Right, a beautiful initiative. We will be able to appreciate this article. An important update from the perspective of society and social issues. All right, and science and technology as well. This day in history dedicated to World Day of War Orphans. Very interesting, but very sad to know about the World Orphans. Feature news for today is on toy industry. Now, this industry in India is slowly and steadily prospering. India is slowly imposing some kind of non-tariff barriers, some kind of barriers on the products from China that the quality is low. In this context, we will understand the toy economy of our country, what are the prospects, what is the future, what is the issue, but this is in the feature news in the next video. A very interesting topic in news regularly these days. Image of the day is on China's longest underwater highway tunnel, right? So China and the other countries in Europe which have created this kind of tunnel, but yes, not in China here. The terms that we have for today are olive Ridley turtle, AYUSH Aadhaar, domestically, systematically important insurers, which are these few companies, and inner line permit in the state of Mizoram. Editorials for today are climate funds, building a green infrastructure grid in the country, and something about international relations, Afghanistan and Pakistan issues. Today's case study is on Sindhutai Sapkal. This is one of the most powerful contemporary ladies. She passed away recently, but her story is awe-inspiring. So let's start this conversation, right? All right. So, I will be able to read the comments once in a while, but you are almost free to post your comments anytime. All right. So Jugno says, kindly make a separate Telegram group for current affairs. All right. We will consider this. No crowd at the place where he was supposed to address. Some say it was more of a political drama. Okay. We'll deal with this. Little mistake on the first heading, wrongly mentioned yesterday's news paying back. Oh, yes. Thank you. Thank you, Bhavani, for this. Thank you for this. We will get this pended. Now, the first snapshot is on PM security breach in Punjab. Now, this is a political news. However, we should understand what is the ideal situation in which prime ministers or a VVIP security is actually cordoned. Right? How are they taken from one place to the other? Now, this whole security plan of any place, wherever a VVIP like Prime Minister, President, or an international delegation, for example, the President of America or the President of Russia, when they come to India, what is the usual way in which this planning is done? So this planning is done completely by prime ministers or the other chief dignitaries, their security agencies, right? So this exercise is carried out by Special Protection Group, SPG, according to their blue book, right? So ideally, when this security situation has to be monitored, it is monitored in 3 layers of cordon, right? First of all, the security level is that of, suppose this is Prime Minister's cavalcade. The first level of security is that of the Prime Minister's PBG, personal bodyguards, PBGs. Along with them, there is a setup of National Security Guards, NSG, or Black Cat Commandos. Have you heard of them? Black Cat Commandos. So this is the first level of cordon around the Prime Minister. Wherever they move, they have to move along with them. The second level of cordon is by the CRPF, Central Reserve Police Force. And the third level of cordon is done by the local administration. So if it is Delhi, then it will be Delhi Police. If it is Punjab, it will be Punjab Police. So the local security. Here, if the Prime Minister is traveling through 1 or 2 districts, the DM or the DC also will have to share the load of planning, DM or DC. And this is what happened in case of Punjab as well. This whole planning is done 3 days in advance. 3 days in advance. In fact, there are contingency plans also created. What is a contingency plan? Suppose there is sudden hailstorm in the city. Hailstorm. What happens in that case? Will the Prime Minister cavalcade move in the same area or will it have alternate routes? Yes, they will create alternate routes also. Not only this, there could be sudden human disaster. And because of this also, there could be effects on Prime Minister's movement. The most important minister, right, the first of the first ministers and chiefly responsible for all affairs of the governments. So this is the reason that we create contingency plans also. And what had happened in Punjab was definitely a security lapse. So what happened in Punjab was that when Prime Minister was traveling, then there was a specific place where there was a flyover. And towards the end of the flyover, the road was jammed and there was some protest happening, right? That means it was known that Prime Minister is going to arrive, and there were protests already happening. Because of this, Prime Minister's convoy got delayed by 15 to 20 minutes. Usually what happens is Prime Minister moves from Delhi or from wherever he's based to another city, suppose it is Chandigarh, suppose, so by aeroplane, and then after that he would use a helicopter to move to shorter locations or use a mode of commutation through road, right? Either of them. But he did not travel by road because, of course, in North India, if you know, there are winter disturbances happening right now, western disturbances happening right now, right? So because of this, he was traveling by road and this was disturbed, right? So who is to be held accountable? Yes, the local security, including the chief minister. All of them are responsible in some way or the other here. And in fact, the whole licensing is done through Intelligence Bureau of the Government of India. Who does Intelligence Bureau report to? Is it the Prime Minister? Is it the Cabinet Secretariat? Is it the Home Ministry? Please answer to me in your comment section, right? All right. Let me know, please. Which is the organization to which IB reports to, and which is the organization to which RAW reports to. These are very interesting, sub-parts, sub-organizations of the government. We will understand each of them as and when the news comes. But right now, these questions have come. Intelligence Bureau reports to which organization, and RAW reports to which organization. All right. So this is, see, the rest of it is political news, but I have told you what is the ideal norm. Yes, Asim, it is the Home Ministry. Yes, Amlan, absolutely. MHA, Sam, absolutely correct. Now, and what about RAW? RAW reports to whom? Right? Now, whenever Prime Minister is traveling, if suppose he's in a, or they are in a political rally, she's in a political rally, then in that case, people cannot be in uniform clothes all the time. And that is the reason that there are times when the security cordon is also in civil uniform, right? So that the people do not feel intimidated, so that Prime Minister does not feel conscious there. So officers are also placed in plain clothes. All right? Okay. All right. So most of you saying MHA, but no, this is not true. For RAW, this question has been asked. Several exams it has been asked. RAW is not placed under MHA. I think it is Cabinet Secretariat, right? Ravi Srivastav says PMO. Would you like to check, please, once? Cabinet Secretariat, Cabinet Secretary. All right. Second snapshot is on China's border law in India. Right. Now, please forgive us for this kind of map, the drawing of Kashmir. This is not the actual map. You know that. I have explained to this many times, but this is for your understanding. Please forgive us for this. The ideal map is where the jewel, the crown in the jewel is also reflected, right? The jewel in the crown is reflected, and these are the terrains of Ladakh region, right? Although, yes, disputed Gilgit-Baltistan region, but this is India's part. Pakistan has claimed it to be its fifth province, right? We have covered Gilgit-Baltistan issue in detail in one feature news. Just type Gilgit Edukemy, you will find the complete feature news, the complete history. Now, as I discussed just yesterday or 2 days back, that China has disputed territory with India at three places. The first is the western sector, the second one is the central sector, and the third one is the eastern sector. Out of which, the first one, the western sector and the eastern sector, these are the two places where there are a lot of disputes, right? The central sector does not have many issues. Now, China has its own reasons. See, we as individuals consider our reasons to be prime, but China has its own reasons to consider this to be prime. First of all, see, the region of Tibet was considered to be the spiritual guru for the whole China province, China region, right? And the region of along the coast, along the East China Sea, this region where most of China's population is residing, this region is said to be China's political head. So political head and spiritual head, both of them combined would form a unified China. This has existed since the times of ancient and medieval times. See, Buddhism spread in ancient times only, no? So when Buddhism spread to the west, to the north, to the east, to the southeast, it did spread to Tibet region also. And this became the spiritual master for the Chinese emperors, right? So China considers that this is an important integral part of China also. But India says, no, it is our part. It was always ours. Now, the issue here is that there are two provinces. One is the Tibet province and the second one is Xinjiang province. Xinjiang province right here, and then we have Tibet province bordering India from west to east. Two provinces, and both these provinces have factionist tendencies. One of them has the traditional Buddhist population, and the second one, Xinjiang province, has Muslim population. It is said that China persecutes this population a little too much. So both of them have the factionist tendencies, and this is the reason China wants to integrate these places in many forms. Militarily, it wants to integrate military, infrastructure, economy, right? Not only that, it tries to integrate through culture as well. There are many ways they try to integrate all these areas. You should know that India is also following a similar policy, along the border. If there are tendencies of factionism in certain, segments of society, we can't name, a state. Segments. So segments, suppose in Ladakh region, India has ensured that the local population gets integrated in the mainstream. India has also tried this in the northeast, or at places where there is more of Naxalism, right? The Red Corridor. Similarly, China also tries to integrate these places militarily through infrastructure, economy, culture. And China wants that there be less factionism in these areas. You get me? So this has been China's contention, and China also passed its border law saying that these territories are integral to China and China will go to any extent to be able to protect them. It gives the legal mandate to the PLA, the People's Liberation Army, to be able to conduct any kind of activity along the border to protect the integrity, right? So this is the issue with China. On the other hand, India has always said, this is the stand India has. India has asserted that Arunachal Pradesh has always been and will always be integral part of China, and inventing names, you keep giving us names, right? These parts, wherever, smaller villages, but this is not going to change any stance, right? The Simla Convention for India, it stands where it was. Simla Convention, it stands, the one which was between India and Tibet. China says that since this convention was not signed with our permission, you cannot, and Tibet was not an independent territory, this is something that we will not agree to, right? So this is the update from here. Moving ahead, see, understanding the new law says it wants to protect the land border areas. It says they want to protect the sovereignty of China, right? This is what it says, and safeguard the civilians in the area and handle border disputes. This is what the new law wants to do in a peaceful way, right? On the other hand, we see China has disputes with not only India. China has land borders, very, very long borders, around 22,000 kilometers of land borders with various countries, including Russia, Mongolia, India, and then other countries, right? India is the third in number, but China has border issues, land border issues with India and Bhutan primarily, and there are other countries also. There are island issues with Japan, with Russia, and you are all known about the exclusive economic zone, Scarborough Shoal, and then Spratly Islands, Parasil Islands. Do remember these names, please. China has tried to create and encroach these islands through creation of artificial reclamation of lands, right? Okay, great. Cabinet Secretary, absolutely, guys, very good, right? So this is where we understand the kind of dispute that China has and China's interest, right? Their understanding and understanding with which India has. We have understood both the sides. Now see, there are patrolling points which China has claimed lately from India, right? Some patrolling points, and certain so-called civilians from India's side also, they have settled in those areas, right? They might not be civilians, they might be informers of China. That is the reason that India does not let a lot of people intrude or settle in those border areas, LOAC areas. All right? Okay, great. Moving ahead to the third snapshot. The third snapshot is on NEET by Ministry of Education. Now, this NEET is not the National Entrance Eligibility Examination that we are talking of. This is National Educational Alliance for Technology. All right. So this is, the name itself suggests, this is National Education Alliance for Technology, right? So have a look at these three words, Educational Alliance and for Technology. That means we are integrating technology and we want that this should be an educational alliance. Alliance of who? Alliance of government with private companies, For example, Edukemy. So if we are providing certain kind of services through the base of technology, this is what NEET is. So kindly update NEET, this NEET part, NEET 3.0, in the article where you spoke of, where we had spoken of the edtech industry, the development in edtech industry. If you remember, we had spoken, right, 3 days back. So NEET is a platform which will provide a place for all the edtech industries aligned with the government to provide education. Many lines of education. This is not just coaching. This is not just coaching or what you call as filling the employability gap. This is also about mass open online courses, MOOC, right? Lifelong learning. Lifelong learning. People who have become elder or gone past the age, they have the skills, but they want to get the certificates for the skills. This is it. Not only that, this is also for school education. If there are some components of school education that can be supplemented through online, yes, why not? So Ministry of Education has launched this NEET 3.0 platform. Now, NEET platform, is it a platform which will help the edtech industry, the education technology industry? Absolutely, it will. Now, not only that, look at the way NEET will help students. I will again repeat those words. I will get back to simplicity. Simplicity is a virtue. So, accessibility, access to education. Not only access to education, but availability of education. It will be available to everybody. Not only that, equity, available to everybody with a certain degree of justice, right? And not only on that, we are also providing quality education. So remember these 4 words, sabse behtar tarika. Remember these 4 words and you will be able to put them in health, in education, everywhere. These are the keywords to use, right? So when you look at ADEC analysis, data, example, case studies, and keywords, these are some of the keywords for you, right? I hope I'm speaking something of wisdom for you guys. You guys there? Guys there? Okay. So look at these beautiful images. Now, see, they speak of how NEET is going to help the edtech companies. See, so it will help their model of growth, right? Leave apart how finances will happen. Government may finance, right? Or government may subsidize this education through online provision. It will promote the education for rural students. It will ensure that we have Indian edtech companies. Imagine, just like we have Chinese companies in gaming sector, right? Don't we have Tencent Games in India, PUBG? We can have education tech companies also in India, but India is trying to promote through NEET the Indian technology companies, right? So this will provide a bridge between students and the teaching community and people who are in need of education, right? So see, there will be promotion of social media and print as well. And right now we are speaking of one perspective, how NEET is going to help the edtech companies. But will it help students? Oh yes, absolutely. See, provision of virtual laboratories. Right? See, better employment opportunities to students. Mass online learning, open online courses. One can get certified for their courses and go abroad and pursue employment, right? Higher employable skills to people. Right? So these are many ways in which edtech industry is actually going to help the students through NEET. Through NEET, that is the word that you have to use, right? National Educational. Yes, okay, great. You guys there with me. National Educational Alliance for Technology. Okay, so this is the third one. This day in history dedicated to one of the not so good things, but yes, mainly bringing awareness to everybody. The orphans, the war orphans. See, when wars happen, the person who are involved in the war are not the only ones affected. Their families are affected. And more than the families, the children, the smaller children are affected. Will you imagine there are more than 14 crore war orphans existing right now? More than 14 crores. And war, if you consider war as the war between nations, no, not just that, civil wars. Forced displacement. India is one of the countries which has got a sizable population of war orphans. And United Nations considers issues in Northeast, issues in Kashmir, issues at Naxal states as children there as war orphans. And Asia is one of the continents which is one of the highest in this, right? Asia, and then we have Africa, and after that, developed countries come very late when we talk of war orphans. In fact, they are the ones who stimulate war, instigate war. It is their weapons that are used, but look at the countries which are getting affected. See? You understand the whole game, no? That is the reason I speak to you that we should always talk of wisdom. War is not good for anybody. It is not. It is only good for business of for the people who are indulged in creation of war instruments, right? Okay, great day. I mean, this is a great understanding about the war. There are many in the world dying for a piece of bread, but there are many more dying for a little love. Right? Mother Teresa. What a quote. Okay. Feature news for today is on toy economy. We'll understand what is the toy industry of India. What is the reason that there is increase in toy sale and manufacturing in India itself? What is the reason that China has reduced its manufacturing with respect to India? And what is the prospect? What are the issues with toy industry in the feature news today? Interesting discussion. Very interesting today, right? So a lot of prospects, and toy industry has a very old background. If you remember, the toys during the time of what time? Am I talking of the times of Indus Valley civilization or the Vedic period? Tell me that. We found some terracotta, no? And one of you said terracotta is one of those products which are one district, one product from your place. And I had told you what district was that. What was that district? All right. This is the image of the day. Uh, today's image of the day is on China's longest highway tunnel. Now, these tunnels have existed in developed countries like England and France, but this is a specific tunnel that China has built almost 11 kilometers in length, and this is beneath the sea. It connects two different places, and isn't it great that it is going to connect two different places? We can have airstrips at these places. We can deliver logistics at one place from the other, right? Weaponry or these wide roads can carry a lot of things, right? So this is how underwater tunnels are created. Many tunnels of these kind are created for passage of railways as well, just like what we have in England and France. China has created another one, right? So beautiful creation. India is also creating these kind of tunnels, right? But underwater for this long, not right now. We are creating the highest bridges, right? We are creating tunnels in Kashmir, all-weather tunnels, right? So this is India's initiatives. India is also developing slowly and steadily in this regard, all right? Okay. Yes, guys, absolutely. Gorakhpur. Very good. Very good. You people are attentive. Bhavani, Netra, Kriti, Gorakh, Amlan, all of you. Very nice. Very nice. Very good. Okay, let us proceed to the terms. Interesting terms. The first one is olive ridley turtle. Now, this turtle is the one which does mass nesting at several sites. West coast of India also and east coast also. It is popularly doing some mass nesting in east coast around Odisha, right? Around Odisha. So Gahir Matha is one place, right? Then we have Rishikulya, mouth of Rishikulya river. These are 2-3 places where it does mass nesting. The issue with this is that it is not that the population of olive ridley turtles is very less. The issue is that it becomes specifically vulnerable because of mass nesting. Imagine thousands and lakhs of turtles nesting at the same place to be able to give birth to their young ones, right? So their vulnerability is very high, right? So this is one issue because of which they are registered as vulnerable. Please remember, vulnerable in IUCN Red List, right? Schedule 1 of Wildlife Protection Act. Schedule 1 is the one which gives protection to any species, right? And Appendix 1 of CITES. 3 important institutions: Wildlife Protection Act, CITES, and United IUCN, right? So these are the 3. They are vulnerable not because of their reduced population, but because of the issue that they breed at a certain site. And this site is called as Arivada. Do remember this. This was asked in exams. This can get asked. This is a very common keyword to be used. Now, why are they in news? They are in news because a population assessment was conducted for olive ridley turtles. Now, so the question can also be asked: do they, lay eggs only on the east coast or west coast also? No, west coast as well. This is true. It is more popular toward the east coast. Now, they have also been news because of several other reasons. You know why? One reason turtles generally are in news is because they are widely, they are one of these organisms which are widely illegally traded across the borders. Illegally traded. So please remember this. This is one. And we did have a question in UPSC exam recently, right? This was not about turtles, but another species. What was that species? Right? It is one of the highest traded, illegally traded species. Tell me the name, please. Okay, meanwhile, another issue why olive ridley turtles are in news is because of the light pollution along the coast is deviating them from going to the right places where they would nest almost every year, right, in the season. Light pollution creating issues. Another reason why they were in news is also because olive ridley turtles are affected by climate change, one of the important aspects. How? You know what happens is when there is increased global warming, the sand gets heated up. And because of this, the turtles, I don't know how this happens, but there is a sex selection. The gender of the turtles gets selected and it favors the females. So here is the female part. It favors the female turtles taking birth instead of the male because of increased climate change. So one way it can be prevented is putting these eggs around some of the gunny bags, some bags, jute bags, putting them with water so that there be creation of equity between genders also. And that's the reason why it is in news, right? Olive Ridley Turtle Protection Program is called as Operation Olivia. All right, pangolin, absolutely, Ravi, Bhavani, Netra, good. Ayush Ahar. The second time in news is Ayush Ahar. Why is it in news? It is in news because this Ahar has been initiated by Ministry of Ayush. Right? A stands for Ayurveda, Unani, Yoga, Siddha, and Homeopathy. These 5 systems of medicines. And if I ask you which is the country in which homeopathy was born, can you tell me that? Homeopathy? Or which is the country where you would know where yoga and Ayurveda was born, both of them in India? But what about Siddha and Unani? Can you tell me that? Where are they born? Yunan, Siddha. All right. And where is homeopathy born? Can you please answer? So, meanwhile, this form of food, Ayush Ahar, has been popular. It has been popular because this is nutritional product and this is following the traditional system of health and rejuvenation, right? So there is a concept of sattvic, tamasic, and rajasic. So sattvic is first, second is rajasic, and third is tamasic. Sattvic bhojan, it indicates that kind of food which is hot, newly served, right? Hot served is one of the qualities. Fresh food. Tamasic is cold, right? And then it is also not very, very good to eat according to the AYUSH system of health and rejuvenation, right? They're serving AYUSH Ahar. All right. So, Sagarika says, Netherlands homeopathy. The father of homeopathy is Mr. Hahnemann, right? 200 years back, he explored hundreds of medication on himself. In fact, there is a prime difference between, let me quickly share you an important thing, but you should know this. There is something called as homeopathy and there's something called as allopathy. The prime difference between both these systems is pathy. Pathy means pain, feelings, and allo means opposite. Allo means opposite and homeo means similar. So, allopathy and homeopathy, they believe in that kind of medication in which homeopathy says the similars, like will treat like. लोहा ही लोहे को काटेगा, gold ही gold को काटेगा, homeopathy. And allopathy says opposite will cure the opposite. So if it is cold, put hot water. If it is cold, put hot water. If the person is hot, then put cold water above them. This is allopathy. On the other hand, homeopathy says that सांप का विष. It says that the venom, if one person has been injected with venom, only venom can cure this. And both the system have their advantages. Both have their shortcomings. This is what it is, right? So homeopathy, the father of homeopathy is a German man, Mr. Hahnemann, right? Okay, Netra says European homeopathy. Absolutely, Germany, great. Ravi says Iran. Yes, Iran is for certain kind of medication. Absolutely, but it is not German. Very good. Vasudholo says Indo-Greek. Okay, very good. Very good. All right, Bhumani, I understood. Okay, I'll work on these. Yeah, thank you, Bhumani. Third one is domestically, systematically important insurers. There are some banks in India which are called as domestic, systematically important banks. These are those banks, they are so big that they cannot be replaced or their fall will indicate the crumbling of Indian economy. So banks like HDFC, banks like State Bank of India, ICICI Bank, they are very big banks. Similar. And the government will ensure that these banks never never fall, right? So bank will keep a very good check on these kind of RBI will keep a very good check on these kind of banks. Similarly, the IRDAI, Insurance Regulatory Development Authority of India, has declared that there are some insurance companies also, they are too big to fail, right? For example, LIC, GIC, General Insurance Corporation, New India Insurance Corporations. These are those the domestic systematically important insurance companies. What is their prime role? They will ensure person's health, they will ensure person's life, they will ensure their accident. So how it works simply is like this. This is an insurance company. These are people, and we will keep paying some amount, say 1 rupee, example is 1 rupee per month. So we pay 12 rupees to them per annum. And this is for accident, suppose accident insurance. So at the end of the year, if somehow by mistake some person gets caught up in an accident, the company will pay them a large sum of money because this person might not be able to afford, say suppose 100 rupees, suppose. So company will get a lot of money from a lot of people, but it will have to pay only to certain people who are affected by that issue. The premium is accordingly decided, right, according to the risk of the particular insurer and the kind of venture it is in. Okay. Okay, PNB also. Okay, great. Amlan says, please underline the lines. Absolutely, I will take care of this. I will keep underlining. Inner line permit. Inner line permit is in use because of the state of Manipur, right? Supreme Court has said that there must be a reconsideration of the inner line permit in Manipur. Now, the system of inner line permit is such. First of all, inner line permit, it exists in northeast states, 4 states: Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram. Do you remember the map of northeast? If you do not, please do remember, right? So this is the map of northeast, right? And this is where we have Meghalaya, right? We have Assam here. You should be able to draw these maps. And then we have Tripura, Mizoram, and then we have Manipur, Nagaland, Arunachal Pradesh, and Assam. The biggest state here is Assam, and then we have Sikkim right here, right? The point being that these 4 states, they have the inner line permit system, ILP system. There are other states here, other 4 states, Assam being one, Tripura, and then Mizoram again repeated, and another state, Meghalaya. So these 4 states are under the protection of Schedule 6. Do you remember Schedule 6? We spoke of these 4 states getting the special privilege of tribal, if you remember, autonomous councils, district autonomous councils. Remember? So there are several district autonomous councils where the people, the local tribes, will get certain privileges over the others on restoring, on preserving their culture, their identity, so that outsiders do not come here and settle, and the preservation of identity and culture of these people is not impinged. Similarly, inner line permit system also has a very similar concept. It was initiated during the times of Britishers so that the outside people do not come and settle here. But it was later restored by these states. These 4 states, do remember, not these particular states with the Schedule 6. I am talking of the bordering states, Arunachal, Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram. Now, this is where any person who is not from these places, they will have to carry inner line permit to be able to visit here as tourist, right? So settling here is little tough. This is the system, and this is against many other systems, no? For example, settling in any other part of the country, right? So, or carrying business. So this is the reason why the Supreme Court has asked them to refer to this again, right? Okay. Interesting one. Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, and Mizoram. Yes, Assam, Meghalaya, Tripura, Mizoram. Absolutely correct, Netra. These are for the Schedule 6. This question can be again any day asked for you people, right? Amlan says the states which are vulnerable to illegal immigration from bordering districts has no, from BD has no ILP. Okay, all right. 3 editorials that we have for you today. The first one, I would like to discuss this one first, the third one first. High stakes in Afghanistan game. Interesting one. So the quick summary of this is that there is a country called as Pakistan, there is a country called as Afghanistan, and then we have India here. And we also have Bangladesh here. Right? Now, India has got 600 billion plus of forex reserves. You know what is the level of forex reserve in Pakistan? It is not even 1/10 of what India has. It is around 1/100th of what India has, the level of forex reserves that Pakistan has. Pakistan claims to have parity with Indian economy. This is the kind of rhetoric that their prime minister, that their administration creates with the people to garner vote. And there is going to be a voting in Pakistan, for union elections soon. So they will start comparing again. This editorial says they'll start comparing themselves with Bangladesh. Bangladesh is one of those economies that has prospered very much. Their per capita GDP has become better than any country here in the subcontinent. And this is why Bangladesh is said to be the next rising Asian tiger, right? And Pakistan is saying that it is better than Bangladesh's economy. Pakistan has also intervened in Afghanistan's internal administration. There is a Durand line, and Pakistan, every time it crosses, their border guards every time cross the Durand line, and this is where Afghanistan's sovereignty is questioned. And there have been issues between Afghanistan, even Taliban Afghanistan, with Pakistan on this. Not only that, when Pakistan used to force, would favor the Afghanistan Taliban, USA was not happy with this. So all the countries internationally are aware of Pakistan's policy, right, of how it is treating, its domestic or international policies, and they want Pakistan to mend their ways. In fact, China also asked Pakistan to mend its ways, right? Because China has its own projects in Afghanistan, right? China has to secure its own fields where it mines and does quarrying in Afghanistan. So China wants more information. All the countries want that Pakistan behave well internationally. So this is what this editorial is about. It's Pakistan's dubious stand, right? All right. Now, okay, then the second one is how to build a green infrastructure grid. Green infrastructure grid. Now, see, if you remember, we had done one news article. I think it was a term on the green infrastructure, road infrastructure grid that India is creating, and Rajasthan was the one where it got initiated. So, all the sources of energy, cleaner sources of energy, would be transmitted with and would be connected to each other in the state. And once it is established for a state or another state or the third state, they will be connected at a national level. You know, there is a wider utility for a grid, especially in green infrastructure. Why? Because green infrastructure at times is said to be something which does not provide sustainable infrastructure, right? Sustainable energy. Because solar energy is not available at night. This is one issue. Because wind energy is not present all the times, right? Because sometimes small hydel energy might not be present at all the times of the year. Absolutely true. So, if we integrate all these grids, integrate them, the places with solar, wind, and small hydel energy together, all the places which they are serving, they will at least have energy at night. Suppose not through solar, but through wind. Suppose not through wind, through small hydel. So this is the idea of integrating the grid, right? And India should focus on building this kind of grid only. India should not focus on, the editorial says this, new kind of infrastructure. Let's start focusing on the building of the existing grid, right? Making the transport system better, right? Intermediate transport system, electrically powered, and not only that, having more battery powered stations, robust water infrastructure, refurbishing the existing infrastructure. This is the way out. These are the low hanging fruits as compared to creating green, or at all completely new infrastructure at any place, right? We also need charging stations at highways, right? So these are some things which are elusive, milta hi nahi India mein, but yes, this is what is required for a long-term growth. Remember India's commitment, 40% of the complete energy creation by 2030 to be there from green sources only, right? And around 850 gigawatt of total energy creation, out of which around 450 has to be clean energy. Right now, we have achieved 40% of effective green infrastructure for energy creation. But will we be able to have it, sustain it for all 850 gigawatt by 2030? This is what is required. Green infrastructure fund, right? And great. Similar to this is the first editorial. It talks about the funding, international funding, right? Climate funds, developed nations must step up. See, first of all, there needs to be a recognition that developing countries need funds. 100 billion of fund was sought after, right, after the Paris Climate Agreement, right? In fact, after Copenhagen in 2009 itself, 9-10, they asked for this funding, but they never received it. Now there must be, the editorial says, there must be an evaluation and appraisal of this funding also, because this funding is not sufficient. India has claimed to $1 trillion. $1 trillion. This is not a small sum of money. They have not given 1 billion, 100 billions. They are claiming $1 trillion, India itself, and developing countries in addition. So there must be clarity and consensus on what constitutes and how much is the fund that is required, international climate fund, right? And then it must be allocated to least developed countries, to small island countries. So these are the keywords for you: Pacific Island countries, small island countries, LDCs, right? Because these are the countries which are getting disproportionately affected because of climate change. The better developed world have technology to handle. They are not the tropical countries. So this is the reason that we have to firstly assess the kind of funding required, and then we have to dedicate this kind of fund to especially those countries which need them, right? Now, I sometimes request you to go and read the editorial. Do you do it? Tell me honestly. If you do, please tell me. If you do not, please tell me that as well, right? So that we are able to, serve you according to your needs, right? If you do not, then I will ensure that I give you a better brief of these editorials, right? Okay. Now, I'm quickly reading down the comments that people have, right? Asim says Pakistan is now a sandwich which is grilled by India and Taliban now. See, that is the situation when people are not honest. The country is not honest. Mr. Prime Minister of Pakistan is now going to garner votes. Pakistan's army has created the effect that it wants to preserve the integrity of the country against a country like India. India has never invaded Pakistan, and they have created an impression that they need more funds to protect the national interest, which is not so. So yes, Pakistan is definitely sandwiched. All right. So moving ahead to okay, Netra says no, sir. So you do not read. Okay. Yasha says she does. Okay, very good. See, there are only some times when I ask you to read the editorials, just sometimes, because this will actually develop a perspective. And when I look at your opinions here, they start to mature. This is the important change that will happen. Sometimes only. I will urge you to sometimes go there, not always. All right. So Amlan says not every day, sir. Okay, no worries. Now, if you like this initiative, to share some love on us through likes, comments, and shares, you subscribe to this channel, you'll receive timely updates. And I think that you might be able to appreciate the kind of effort it might have gone to create the whole setup here and to ensure that there is timely delivery in the evening, even during times of COVID, right? Many places, many offices, this is a huge infrastructure that we have in the office. Many people are affected with COVID, and yet the whole mechanism is running, right? Yes, sometimes a little slow, I do agree. We will improve on this, but if you appreciate this effort, you would definitely put down some comment, or you would put a thumbs up and like this initiative. All right. And we are going to proceed to today's case study. The case of a lady who has touched the lives of thousands and thousands of people directly through her hard work. We are talking of Sindhutai Sapkal, all called as Mai. A very, very heart-touching story. She passed away just yesterday, and the story is such that she has gone through miserable times in her life. She was married at a very young age of 12 years, and she was married to a man who was 20 years elder to her. She had 3 daughters, and she was thrown out of the house at the time when she was having small babies. We are talking of Thai here in the image and diagram. And she had very small children at that time, and she had no food. She had to beg for her food, and she was amongst the beggars. Slowly and steadily, she started to know that she could earn her food. She would sing, she would perform activities which would give her some money. And you know what? She had a listening. She had listening with the beggars as well. How? When she would get some food for suppose singing, she would share them with the other beggars. And instead, in return, beggars would protect her. So this is how she grew. And she realized that through tough times, she can actually ensure those times for others which she has gone through. She can ensure that those times do not repeat. So she started adopting children. She adopted more than 1,000 children. जिनका कोई नहीं था उनकी ताई थी, right? And to the level that she says that मेरे I have got 200 plus sons-in-law. That means she made small girls grew up and 200 of them got married to 200 boys. She has around 50 daughter-in-laws. That means small boys. And she has got around 200 cattle as well, cows, buffalo. Point being that this is the kind of work that we should do. If I please forgive me for the language. If shit is thrown at us, then why not create cow dung cakes, right? Let us utilize this in greening of the whole ecosystem and create some energy out of this, the dung material. So this is what she has lived, and this is what she has shown to everybody. This is what we can also do, right? And this is what I appreciate. I can relate to you people very much because I have also prepared for this examination. And I totally understand what you're going through. You are urging, there is an urgent desire to serve the people. But for that, you have to clear this examination. This is not a hurdle. This is not a hurdle because every article that you read has direct relevance. That is the interesting thing about our Gazette and current affairs. It has direct relevance to how you are going to serve the other people. For example, if you're posted at the border, India-China border, you have a background to it already. Prime Minister's security, you know it already. You are posted in Odisha cadre, you know about Aribada and mass nesting of turtles. Not only that, you look at any other articles, they are directly related to what you are going to look at. So this is the idea of creating this kind of video, that you get, that you have a regular participation, you keep your motivation high, your energy is channelized, you become a regular at what is called as current affairs, right? It becomes something that is your strong point. Quote of the day is, you have two hands, one to help self and the other to help others. Yes, we have two hands, एक हाथ से खुद को and दूसरे हाथ से दूसरे को मदद करेंगे, right? So through this, we come to the closure of the current affairs segment, and we will quickly switch to the feature news for today on toy industry, right? Toy industry in India. Very interesting articles. So let us quickly switch to the other video. Thank you for being a part. Let me quickly read the comments if you have. All right. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you very much. Thank you, all of you. Rabani, Netra, all of you. Thank you very much. I will quickly switch on to the other video. Thank you for participating. Thank you for your appreciations. Thank you.